listen, I'm coming up your street, red line, busting pistons, beat roaring loud like a fire in the kitchen. COVID-19 got me 6 feet distance. We been yelling back up, nigga, what's the difference? One West in order to be honorably mentioned. See it in my eyes, but compromise in my visage. I'm vicious, brainwashed out like the dishes. Taking out the mafia and the 3-6s. Number of a man and the sons of perdition. Come to pay the piper for the Spanish Inquisition. 100 years of lynching, centers of detention. Fields full of cotton, these crackers they had us picking. All in the name of a nation claiming Christian. The Lord has an army and the generals enlisted. If you can't read the times of what you lack is intuition, bones still dry in the valley of decisions. This is not a private interpretation. They lying, they perpetrate. We die in rebirth of nation. Declining our reparations and swiping our education. They cry about escalations and crime while you're hesitating to climb. This federation of swine body balance is 69 for coincidence. It's designed. We've been nation like Vintage wine. We invasive to get a spot. Sip my Hennessy with a line. Fuck with us when you get a fine. Self-defensive and shop for time. Break answer you with a sign, but the chances on the decline. The meridian looking prime. Take that energy cross the line. If my enemy wanna shine, we got boots looking for my line. My nigga, if this ain't a vibe, you been drinking Coke 45. Malt liquor, damn it, I'm a coke leader. I don't smoke weed or sell coke either. Grab him by the soul reaver. I just need a dope breeder. Call me NBA young boy. I'll never be broke either. I don't sell crackers nor coke either. Damn it, I'm a coke leader. Choke till they croak cause they spoke. But the cock crow Peter, no ether. Stand tall as a cedar. AC for this heater. My demeanor blow the tweeters out your speakers. Thank God I'm not a strain from the womb like your boy Joe Biden said. Caucasians and doom as well as all of you crispy. They crash it, they crunch it, they coons from the masters to Calabasas out to sucker move. Busting through the barrier. Reach clear the area. Dog not a terrier. Jawbone carrier. Cut a Mississippi. One West barrier. Concealed but I carry ya. Shield on malaria. Thicker than a bitch in Hungary. Don't let the signs of the time bury ya. Motherfucker stereo. Tubman, Harriet. Climb up off the chariot. The delegate from Judah is the ruler of the future, not a stereo. The truth is a bad bitch. Of course a nigga married it. King David roughing up the letterman. Apollo and his garrisons. I.S.U.P.K. we feel betterment. Season in the righteous acts is over when it's arrogance. The arrogance of my people to not resist the evil cause it's legal. Like why you playing the role like he ain't evil. Go cerebral before you end up with the palsy. With a padded Wall Street. Least in the kingdom mad salty. Act falsely, that's costly. Missing ass, no heads, nigga ass falsely. Remember Aunt Flossie, she didn't have to tell him. Got my ass beat for belly running in my cerebellum. Been a prophet, never settle. Keep it poppin' since the kettle. Any object is metal, our present is a devil. All the blocking, but it's Lego, so I'm loading up the treasure chest. Taking out the mount, cause shawty, I don't ever rest.
Hey guys, I'm here with Mark. He picked up one of my
No coming on, nigga came back down. I thought I'd let you know that I was gone, but I never lived. So back now, I thought I'd let you know this brotherhood is a whip, and I never let it go, never let it free. Shit, I kill for my niggas. I thought I'd let you know. No coming on, nigga came back down. I thought I'd let you know that I was gone, but I never left. So back now, I thought I'd let you know this brotherhood is a whip, and I never let it go, never let it free. Shit, I kill for my niggas. I thought I'd let you know. Yeah, you nigga know I'm about to bring the heat, right? About to bring the heat. Shit, I usually leave the street light. Man, I still keep the heat tight. That nigga on gold like a green light. They say 144, nigga, you can get it. Ain't gotta tell me twice. Gotta tell me. Tryna stack a couple grand, get on some land, and then put us on the field in the field with the Warriors. And you know a nigga glory, but we still keep it G though. Keep them tools on depot. Might hit him with the Rico. Hey, hit the nigga with the Rico. Hey, so they fucked up the rap game. What you looking at me for? So I know they can't stand me. That's why I keep a Glock handy. Might sip a little brandy. While I'm chilling with the family. Tell him a real nigga landed. Just an all black like a bandit. Bitch, I ain't come to play. Bitch, I came to do that. No coward, no nigga came back down. I thought I'd let you know that I was gone, but I never lived. So back now, I thought I'd let you know this brotherhood is a whip, and I never let it go, never let it free. Shit, I kill for my niggas. I thought I'd let you know. No coward, no nigga came back down. I thought I'd let you know that I was gone, but I never lived. So back now, I thought I'd let you know this brotherhood is a whip, And I never let it go, never let it free. Shit, I kill for my niggas. I thought I'd let you know. Back to me fall, ain't Babylon fall, You know the paper nigga walk, Nigga raced up, now I'm all in. And all I ever wanted was the win and the big body bin. Now I'm gone in the wind, trying to stack a couple in. Now let's get it in, yeah, let's get it in. About to make the shit tremble. 144, the real. Yeah. About to turn it up a left. Hit the bitch up like loud.
Hey, Shalom, YAHANNA, Shabbat. What's going on? God, no sweat. Hey, Shalom, Akim. Salakia. Shalom, Yahabashim Yal Shai Barakatha, to all the brothers, Yahweh Shemar, Latham Basham Yal Shai, to all the sisters. I'm Officer 500 Zabaja of the I.S.U.P.K, the Israelite Universal School of Salakia. The Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge started out 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, right? We teach that Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are the Israelites of the Bible. We teach the moral code that the Black, Hispanic, and Native American man is supposed to live by. We're giving them back their identity, right? We've been doing this since 1969. Tonight is the I.S.U.P.K Canada history class. We're going to be going into the Fertile Crescent, right? So, Salakia, let's get it right. Give me one moment. When we speak on the Fertile Crescent, right, there's other names for it, such as the cradle of civilization, right? And if you ask anybody in the blackity black world, they'll tell you that everything started in Africa, right? That's because they don't know who they are, and they just believe anything that the oppressor tells them, right? But we're going to go through our history book and we're going to find out where civilization started. And then when you match it up with history, you'll find out that the cradle of civilization, the Fertile Crescent, it's not Africa, right? We didn't start in Africa, right? We ran there to seek refuge from a murderer who's been murdering, who's still murdering till this day. Right, so we're gonna go into Salakia, Baraki Allah. Can you get us Genesis 11? Let's get to Genesis 11, right? So first let's get a Salakia. Before we even do that, let's get the definition of civilization. Right, so we're gonna get that right quick. Baraki Allah, you could hold Genesis chapter 11. So, we kind of freezing up at the moment. Give me one moment. All right, so we got the definition of civilization. Right, so we have it as the stage of human social and cultural development and organization that is considered most advanced, right? So that's one definition. Now let's look for like the Oxford. Let's see if we can get the Oxford definition. See if they go more in depth. Right, so from the Oxford, we have civilization, a noun, a state of human society that is very developed and organized, the technology of modern civilization. Right, so we got that. If you're tuning in, like, subscribe, share the channel, share this video on your social media. Right, So civilization basically it's life. It's basically life in the city, right? It's life in a town. It's life in it's life when we start to gather together. When men started to gather together and to make laborers, what's the best way to say it? To make the laborers, the labor that they went through less strife in the labor they went through, right? So this is the division of labor and classes, right? And it was established for convenience. Like, now you think about life back in the day, when the beginning of man on the earth, right? Men had to grow. Men had to forge for food, right? There was a time before the Most High gave Adam the law, where men were just knocking over a rock and putting things in their mouth, right? There was no real concept of you have to grow food. It was lawlessness. This is why the Most High gave Adam the law, right? So civilization, life in the city, the division of labors, and okay, so the division of labors work out where one man might do something that the other man doesn't have to, right? Shalom, sir. Yahweh Shem Yashar Barakatha. Water for tuning in. We got Officer Adiyar in the chat, right? So the division of labor is like, okay, so now for instance, there's a man who grows vegetables, right? He might not necessarily be the man that butchers the cow for the leather. His job is to grow the vegetables, right? The other man's, there's his neighbor's job is to raise cattle and butcher the cattle for meat and for leather, right? So they're gonna work together, and that's basically in a nutshell how civilization works, right? And it's a division of labor. So eventually, as the labor of life starts to be divided up, there's going to be men who they don't basically do labor work necessarily. There might be men who make decisions, right? And this is how all societies work out. There are men who judge decisions, men who judge situations for counsel, men who make decisions, right? In which way the society is supposed to go, right? And a civilization is based off convenience. Slovakia. Let's pull up a precept. Rocky Allah, you can get Genesis. Let's get into Genesis 11 and 1. Right? We're gonna go into our real quick. Right, and before like, okay, so as I was saying, right, so as the divisions get divided, right, eventually there are men who, and this is basically how inventions started to happen, because divisions of labor are being divided. There are men who don't have to labor. They get to sit around and think of things, right? They get to think of, maybe if I hit this rock the right way, it might turn into a wheel, right? There are men who decide, who they're thinking about, maybe if we cut down this tree and put this piece of lumber together, we can make a wagon and put the wheel on that wagon, right? That's how inventions started happening, right? There's men whose their jobs were to invent things, right? And this is a time. Well, you know what? So now we're gonna go. We'll just read this precept real quick first.
Is the book of Genesis, chapter 11, verse 1. And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech.
right? So this is the time when the whole earth was of one language and one speech, right? Now this time, if you're familiar with the books of Genesis, right, this is after the flood, right? This is after the flood. So everyone had the same language, right? Because this is the line of Adam through Noah, right after the flood, right? And everyone was together and they were of one speech, right? And now precursor, this is why the Most High doesn't want us to be with everyone. Keep reading. Salakia, I can't hear you. You're breaking up.
Verse 2. And they journeyed from the east, that they found the plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there.
Right. So Salakia, hold up. So this is Noah's sons, right? And their families. They journeyed to the east and they found a place, a plain, Shinar, right? This place is in history is known as Mesopotamia, right? The Fertile Crescent. Right now, this place is a dust ball. We're gonna get into that and why it's a dust ball, right? But this is the Fertile Crescent, right? This is where they came to their journey and they dwelt there, right? So Mesopotamia, that's a Greek word for land between two rivers. Those rivers are the Salakia, the Tigris and the Euphrates. I'm gonna pull up a picture, see if I can get a picture right. Salakia, give me one moment. I'm gonna get a picture right for this. Nah. Hold up. Almost ready. All right. So where were we? So the Greek word Mesopotamia, it meant land between two rivers. We got that as Euphrates and the Tigris, right? I'm pulling up a picture for you right now. Give me one moment. See if I can get the share screen. Salakia. All right, as soon as I get that picture up, I'll show it to you, right? Where are we reading? Right, so they came in and dwelt there, right? This land, it went from Salakia. You could say from Baghdad all the way out to the Persian Gulf, right? That's where this land, that was the vast majority of this land known as Mesopotamia, right? Between the Euphrates and the Tigris. Where are we at right now? All right, jump down to verse 5.
Karawakan. Genesis chapter 11, verse 5. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men builded.
Right. So what's happening in this time is it's down near the same thing that's happening in these times, right? Where men came together and they decided to build a tower, right? They wanted to build this tower to go into into the heavens so they could fight the Most High. That's what these heathen nations do at all the times, right? Every time these heathen nations come together, it's always to fight against the Most High, right? Whether it be attacking the children of Israel, or thinking of some way they could think of some way to build some type of attack on the Most High, right? And that's the same thing that they're doing now. They're doing the same thing with NASA, right? They want to build a space force, right? They're now coming out and telling you that IFOs exist, right? We've known that IFOs exist. It speaks of them in the scriptures, right? The flying rolls. The oppressor is now telling you that flying rolls exist. They've known that flying rolls exist. That's why they're making the space program, right? And this is what the heathen nations always come together to do, to try and fight against the Most High. Barak Yalla, read that one more time from the top.
Khan, Genesis chapter 11, verse 5. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower, which the children of men builded.
Right. The children of men built this tower, right? So they could go up against the Most High and fight the Most High. Salakia. Let me just see something. Right. So we're gonna go more in depth into this in 1 second. Let me see if I can get that picture for you. We don't need the audio. We just need that tab right quick. Right. So here we have it, right? This green lit part right here, that's the Fertile Crescent. Let's see if we can make it a little better for you to see it. Right? The two rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates, right? This is the same Salakia. Right. So this area is part of once where the garden was, right? The same Garden of Eden. When you read up on the Garden of Eden, you find out that its borders had these two rivers, right? The Tigris and the Euphrates. Right. So let's keep reading. Where were we? Right. Read verse 6, Barak Yalla.
Khan, Genesis chapter 11, verse 6. And the Lord said, Behold, the people is one.
Right. So the Lord was getting reports, right? Like what we read in verse 5 and what we're going to read in verse 6 is the Most High, he sits in his throne. He doesn't move, right? But the angels come and give him reports, right? So they told him that the people are one, right? That's how he's seeing that there's a tower, because the angels are coming to give him reports. They're telling him the people are one, right? Meaning they're united. Keep reading.
Behold, the people is one, and they have and
right.
this they begin to do.
hold that. Read that one more time, Baba Kasha.
And they have all one language, and this they begin to do.
Right. Hold that right there. Right. So everyone had one language, right? They were speaking the same language. They were in one. They were on one accord, and that accord is the same thing that heathens are on today. That is to come against the Most High, right? And today they come against the Most High. They come against the Most High's children. That's blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, right? This they begin to do. Keep reading.
And now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do.
Right, right. Baraki Allah, what does that mean? Nothing will be restrained from them.
So like they're gonna be able to do all matter of sin.
Right. They're gonna whatever they want to do, they're gonna do it. Right. And that's why they're building this tower. Because they think in their mind that they can come up against the Most High. Right? That's why they built NASA, because they think that when the chariots come, that they're gonna be able to fight against the Most High. Right? So that's why the Most High said nothing will be restrained from them, right? Which they have imagined to do. They imagine that they could fight against the Most High. And that's what was happening in civilization, right? We have to remember, as we said earlier, there were men whose jobs it was to imagine things, right? Someone imagined a wheel. Someone Khan, sir, Khan, I don't want Khan. That Space Force, right? That Space Force is exactly what we're talking about. Like they're trying to fight against the Most High with the Space Force, right? There was a devil president. His name is slipping my mind, but this goes back 20, 30 years ago. He basically said that one day that they're gonna have to come, the nations will have to put their differences. I'm paraphrasing what he said, but he said they're gonna have to put aside their differences so they could come together and fight against an attacker from out of this world, right? That I'm loosely paraphrasing what he said, but you could just Google it. Google's your friend and you'll find it. Right? Baraki Allah, what were we reading? We were reading verse 6. Let's read verse 7.
6.
Wait, Salakia, right? So one thing you have to remember is that during this time, right, these people come from the line of Adam, right? Out of the line of Adam, only 8 survived, and that was Noah and his sons and their ribs. Come on, sir. Suwadathir. Right? Bush Sr. was talking about the Space Force. Right? Salakia. Where were we? Okay, so around this time, this is after the flood. Right? What we can say about the flood is that Noah knew the law. He taught his sons the law. His sons were supposed to teach their sons the law. So men knew the law. They do what the heathens do. They disregard it, right? A heathen wants to do what a heathen wants to do, which is go after their lust. Whatever their flesh says they want to do. And this is why you're not supposed to follow the heathens, because they're going to teach you to only go after your flesh. We live in a kingdom where your gender could change by the day, right? That's where we live. We live in a kingdom where they listen. If Bill was born as Bill, if he feels like his pronouns is Becky, they want you to call Bill Becky. That's the kingdom we live in, right? And this is what civilization has been doing since the dawning of time. Right? They knew the law. The law was already handed down. Right? So let's read verse 7.
Genesis chapter 11, verse 7. Go to, let us go down, and there confound their language, that they may
Hold
not
that right there.
understand
And
one.
just to clarify, it wasn't the Levitical priesthood, but the Most High, he dealt with Adam, and Adam dealt with his kin. Right. Read 7 one more time.
Go to, let us go down, and there confound their language.
Right. So this is Barakiala. Who's speaking right now?
The Lord Yahweh.
Like yes and no. Like in this now, the Most High, he doesn't leave from his throne, right? So would the Most High be coming to the earth in the let us go down?
God, when he would send the angels,
Right. So this is the angels. Let us go down there and confound their language. Right. Keep reading.
that they may not understand one another's speech.
Right. So this is going to be the divide of the people. Right. Because if you can't, okay. So Barakiala, if me or you are in the field, and we both can't communicate with each other, do we stay around each other?
Lord on.
Right. Because the only thing that would happen is we'd eventually end up fighting. Right. So this is the Most High. He's going to scatter the people. He's going to send the angels to confound their language and scatter the people. It's a divide. He doesn't want us to be together with these heathen nations, because all they think of doing is coming against the Most High. Right. He wants us separate. He wants us a holy people, a separate people. Da, 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 da. Salakia, where are we going? Right. So, Key, read that one more time. There's something we got to touch on for a second.
Go to, let us go down, and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech.
Right. And what okay, so they have, in that time, they were on one accord with their speech, and that was to come against the Most High. Right? That is exactly the same as this time, right? In today's speech, what are some things that society says in today's speech?
So like it is to come together.
Right. That's definitely one of them, right? Let us come together. Where society, okay, for example, right? Let us come together. The oppressor, he rules the world, and he wants you to come together under his democracy, right? If you go to Afghan and you start to teach English, they're gonna start to demand democracy. They're gonna want to be equal with the oppressors and put Christmas trees in their house. We've already seen it with them hanging off the wings of these Salakia, the huge Hercules planes, the C-17s, right? They're gonna preach in today's times. They come together on one accord to preach love, love. They say love. It doesn't matter what kind of love. It's just supposed to be all love. And this is why horrible crimes are being committed against our children, because the Christian church is teaching us to only love. Right. What else is something that the whole world says in unison? It's something that like the whole world, they're together on this issue. Think about it in the scriptures.
So like we're all equal.
No, no, like okay, this is something we'd have to battle at camp.
Salaki, I'm not sure of one.
No sweat. For I'll give it to you, right? Caesar Borgia. The whole world, like no matter what, predominantly everyone says this in English, but they'll say Jesus Christ is white. Right? That's something they all say. Right? Now if we take Christianity out of it, the number one thing that the whole world is in unison about is homosexuality, right? Every single nation is in unison about homosexuality. They agree with it. They find nothing wrong with it. This is why they want to battle the Lord, so they could do whatever they want, right? So we're gonna keep reading. Like, let's go to Genesis 10. Let's jump back one chapter. We're gonna go to Genesis 10. I need to get rid of this picture now. Don't need that. Bubba Shah, give me Genesis 10 and you can start at verse 8.
Karawakan, Genesis chapter 10, verse 8. And Cush begot Nimrod. He
Right.
began
So
yeah,
hold that right there, right? Cush begot Nimrod. Who is Cush in the Bible?
Salakia, the Ethiopians.
So come say that one more time.
The Ethiopian nation.
Right. This is the progenitor of the Ethiopians, right? But who else is Cush in the Bible?
Salakia, son of Ham.
Right, the son of Ham, right? So the son of Ham, right? We're gonna keep reading. Read verse 8 one more time.
Genesis chapter 10, verse 8. And Cush begat Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one in the earth.
Right. So the son of Ham, Cush, he begot Nimrod, right? And this is in the time of Mesopotamia, right? And he became a mighty one in the earth, right? Baraki Allah, what does it mean by he became a mighty one in the earth?
Salakia, he became a powerful figure.
Right. He was that was perfect. He became powerful. Right? Nimrod, he was powerful, right? He was the one who was behind the building of the Tower of Babel. Right? Now, one thing about this civilization, right? Again, there was men whose jobs, as we said before, they would invent things, right? What's something that Khan, sir, Khanado and Khan, renowned a giant, right? Nimrod was a giant in the earth,
Salakia,
right? Khan,
you could even say he became a star.
right? He became a star. He would have been the star of Mesopotamia, right? He was mighty, right? Now a Christian, when you think a Christian thinks of giant, and they think of lust, they think of angels disobeying the Most High, sleeping with some heathen, and now there's a man taller than a tree walking around in the earth, right? But where are we? Let's get back to it. Da, 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 a mighty one in the earth, right? So Nimrod, he was mighty in the earth. They said he was a hunter, and during this time in Mesopotamia, this is where men were inventing things, right? The one thing that men always invent, and this invention is always happening, right? It's gonna keep happening until Yahawashi comes back and it's no more, right? But men invented religion, right? Christianity is an invention of a man's mind, right? The Muslim mosque, being a Muslim, is an invention of a man's mind. Being a Buddhist, being a Rastafarian, that's all inventions. Let's read verse 9.
Genesis chapter 10 and 9. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord.
Right. So Nimrod was a mighty hunter, and this is in Mesopotamia, where the so-called Fertile Crescent, right? They call it the Fertile Crescent because it was a tropical place. If you go to Baghdad right now, it's a dust ball. It looks like the largest beach minus the water that you've ever seen. Right? It doesn't sound like how it was described in biblical times. Right? Read that again. He was a mighty hunter in the earth.
He was a mighty hunter before the Lord.
Right. There were men whose job was to hunt, right? Because this is how civilization was running. Everyone had a job. It was like a machine. Someone hunted. Nimrod became a mighty hunter before the Lord. What does that mean, before the Lord?
Salaki, he wanted to challenge the Lord.
Khan, he was one to challenge the Lord, right? That's what it means to be before the Lord. It's like if someone comes before you, right? An adversary is before you, right? You know that person is not coming to give you a hug. They're not coming to give you a salute, right? Nimrod was a hunter before the Lord, against the Lord, right? And these guys were against the Most High, right? They were over the people that settled in the they were kin to the people who settled in the land of Shinar, right? Now, the people who later settled in the land of Shinar, they called them the Sumerians, right? In the Bible, biblically, they would be known as the Chaldeans, right? In this Fertile Crescent, right? And this is basically the beginnings of the kingdom of Babel, right? Where the Tower of Babel was, right? Before the Most High sent the angels to spread everybody out, right? Because they knew the law, because it was handed down through not the Levitical priests part of the law, but they knew the law that was given to them from Adam to Noah to Ham, Shem, and Japheth, right? But they disregarded it. So the Most High, he has something for them. Let's read verse 10.
Genesis 10 and 10. And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, and Erech, and Akkad, and Calneh in the land of Shinar.
Right. So in the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, and these are different states, right? So now, Salaki, I don't have it up, right? But there are detailed versions of the maps of Mesopotamia, right? And when you go and compare the names that we just read those names again.
And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, and Erech, and Akkad, and Calneh in the land of Shinar.
Right. So these places match up with names that are here today. Right. Right. These were the early cities of Mesopotamia. Their names still line up with the people who established the first cities, right? The Sumerians, which was the first civilization on Earth, right? With this civilization, you had things like math, writing, science, religion, right? With religion is something that has blacks, Hispanics trapped, right? It's something that it's like a hypnotize, right? There, I read an article about how the Christian church is like hypnotization on black people. Da, 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 da. Right, we're in a civilization right now. Salakia. Let's read verse 10 one more time.
And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, and Erech, and Akkad, and Calneh in the land of Shinar.
Right. So these were the lands that were close around Mesopotamia, right? So these are the cities where religion started, and now we're in the Americas where these same religions are still here to this day, right? America the Great Whore, the daughter of Babylon, right? Concert, right? The Sumerian Empire, right? The Sumerian Empire is where all these religions that we practice. Well, when I say we, that I'm speaking about our brothers and sisters who are in the world, right? Now, you have men who stand before you now. We put away the false gods. We came back to our power, right? And that's what we're supposed to do. Our people are stuck in these religions that are still practiced from that men just thought of, right? In Mesopotamia, that are still here today, right? In Babylon, the daughter of Babylon, where we are, right? Baraki Allah, why do they call America the daughter of Babylon?
Because it follows after the culture of the Babylonian Empire.
Right. That's exactly it, right? So the Babylonian Empire is the mother of where we are now, right? It's the mother of the empire that we're in right now. They're still practicing all these gods, right? Like every empire has created gods, right? And these gods don't exist, right? In Mesopotamia, they had Nimrod, right? Nimrod, they turned around and made a Christmas tree out of Nimrod, right? The people who were the Chaldeans, they started religions, right? They worshiped the sun. There was some of them who worship the sun. People still worship the sun till this day, right? In the daughter of Babylon, the great whore called America, right? Now, Salakia, what religion worships the sun till this day?
So like Christianity, got one.
Right, right. Give that trooper a hand. Right. Christianity worships the sun till this day. That's why if you look at their pictures of Caesar Borgia, they'll have a sun directly behind his head. They'll say it's a halo, but it's a sun, right? In our history book, we know that the Most High and Christ are separate, right? We know that the Most High is the creator. We worship the creator, right? Not to say that people didn't worship kings back in the day at the same time, because we see in the scriptures where they worship the Most High and the king. But we don't say that Yahushua is God, right? Christians, the people who worship the sun, they worship the sun. So that's why they worship Caesar Borgia and say that Caesar Borgia is God. Right? Nimrod, what? Salakia. Maybe I might have already given it away. But I'll just say it just for the basis of it, right? Everybody in this kingdom, they can't wait to throw all their money away in the next. Listen, today they're gonna start today. They're doing it right now. They're throwing all their money away for December 25th, right? To worship Nimrod, right? Now, what you don't know is that Nimrod, when you research Nimrod, you find out that after he died, right? It was his mother. Salakia, sir. Salakia, sir. Officer Adiyar, get me right on this, right? Nimrod's mother turned around and said that he was he died and that he came back into the evergreen, right? This is why they're putting evergreen Christmas trees in their house, right? They turned around and said, then she turned around and said, if you don't come and give him a gift, place a gift at the evergreen Christmas tree, you're gonna die. And she would cut your head off and put it on that tree. Till this day, this is happening. You put a gift under that evergreen tree, you go and buy a fake evergreen tree to put it in your house. You put a gift under that evergreen tree and you decorate it with balls, right? You don't know that the origins of it is you're decorating a idol, right? With it would be heads, the heads of men you'd be putting on that tree.
Wakan.
Right. Salakia. The Arabs, right? So men with these inventions, with the invention of religion, men would also, they would just worship everything, right? So someone would see the sun come up today and someone would say, the sun came up today, the sun is God. They would start to worship God. They would start to worship the sun. The water would start to fall from the sky. They said the rain is God. They would start to worship the God. The Arabs, they see stars in the sky and they see that moon. And listen, sometimes that moon, it can be captivating. Sometimes you can look up at that moon and it's a bright orange and you're like, damn, that looks amazing, right? The Arabs, that Ishmael being a wild man, right? He decided to worship the moon, right? The Arabs, they worship the crescent moon, right? All of this comes from Babylon. All of these religions come from Babylon, right? Salakia, if there's any questions, like you got any questions, feel free to ask any questions. Anybody who's watching, if you're in the audience, you could also ask questions as well.
Salakia one.
Khan.
About the Ishmaelites, they used to have a god for each day of the year.
Right, that's definitely true, right? The Ishmaelites had a god for each day of the year. Salakia. Okay, the Ishmaelites had a god for each day of the year, and that all comes from Babylon. So what are we gonna go into?
Salakia one.
Khan.
Are the Babylonians and the Assyrians the same empire?
No, that's not the same empire. The Assyrians would be the Persians, right? It's almost the same region, but it's not the same empire. The Babylonians would be long before the Assyrians, but it's like that's what comes up next.
Because I have in the Zondervan's Compact Bible Dictionary, at the end of the book, there's a map. In the first map, it shows the old Babylonian Empire, and Assyria
Right.
is within the old Babylonian Empire.
Right, because that you have to remember, this is called the Fertile Crescent. This is a land that it's the land to be in, right? Because even when you look at Babylon, Mesopotamia, the Syrian Empire, we told you it was part of the garden, right? It also its borders also become the borders of Israel. right? And when we were told about the borders of Israel or the land of Israel, we were told that it was a land flowing with milk and honey. Right. Now look at it now that we're not over there. It's just like everything the heathens get their hands on, it becomes destroyed. Right? For a place that was supposed to be tropical, it's now dust.
Khan.
Let's go to Wisdom of Solomon. We're gonna go to Wisdom of Solomon 13, verse 1. Yeah, let me get what you said in my pocket from. Yeah.
So like a Wisdom of Solomon 13 and 1.
Yeah, give me 1 second. Let me get with you.
Khan.
Right, because in this civilization that we're reading about, they were heavy into idol worship. Right, so that's what we're going to be talking about right now. We're going to be talking about idol worship for a second. Talk about that to close out this class. All right, you can read it whenever you got it.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 13, verse 1. Surely vain are all men by nature.
Right, so hold that right there. Surely vain are all men by nature. Right, what does that mean? Hey, Shalom. Yahweh Shem Yahshua Barakatha.
Hey, shalom, y'all. What's going on?
To wow, we're talking about Babylon, Mesopotamia, right? And we're going into the idols because what we're talking about is like how the creators of civilization, where the first civilization was Mesopotamia. It's the creation of religion and majority of the idols that are still around today. Majority of the things that they're still practicing today, it comes from Babylon.
Yep, exactly. Khan.
All right, so you can read verse 1 again.
Surely vain are all men by nature.
Right,
Ignorant of God.
Break down that first part. Surely vain are all men by nature. Like, what does it mean to be vain?
So like they don't know the law.
Yeah, yes, that's definitely correct, but laser in on it, zone in on it for a second.
They give in to their lust.
Yeah, that's definitely it. To be vain is nothing. It's pointless.
Khan.
Right? So read it again. Surely vain are all men by nature. Right? It's like the things we do by nature are pointless. It's nothing. Doesn't mean anything. Right? Without the law, what do you do by nature? You do everything that goes against the Most High.
Khan.
Right? Keep reading.
Who are ignorant of God.
Right. They don't know who God is. So they don't, their life is pointless. Right? Because they're not living how the Most High wants them to live. Surely vain are all men by nature who are ignorant of God. Right? So you don't know nothing. You're not about anything. And that's anybody not in this truth. Right? There, keep reading.
And cannot utter the good things they're seeing. Okay.
Read that one more time.
seen, no is.
So,
Neither
like,
by
I didn't hear you.
considering
Like,
the
you were
good,
breaking up.
neither by considering
Salakia, I didn't hear you. You're breaking up.
and
Read it one more
cannot
time.
out of the good things that I see, Kana Wakan, and cannot out of the good things that are seen, know him that is, neither by considering the work they acknowledge the workmaster.
Right. So basically, what that's saying is like, listen, they see that the sun is shining. They see that it's good that the sun is shining, but they're not considering there's a power that made the sun shine. They're not considering that the sun is not shining on its own accord. The sun did not make itself, right? And when you get down to the last part, neither by considering the works did they acknowledge the workmaster, right? They seen it, they didn't acknowledge that the Most High did this, right? And that's what's happening with these religions. That's what's happening in the cradle of civilization, right? This is why the Most High, he turns around and chooses Israel, because the rest of the heathens are, they're just, it's pointless for them. Slovakia.
Khan, so if I could.
Khan.
And that's why, like you said, he chose Israel. You know, like he's dealing with Israel. He didn't choose any other, all these other different nations. But he chose the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans to do his will here. You know what I'm saying? To be his workmanship here on earth. He didn't choose these other nations. We're supposed to be on top of these other nations as long as we do the Most High's law, statutes, and commandments, which is required of us to deal with, to do, at the least, you know, and forget about all these other vainly or useless upbringings, and we got to erase our memories from all these, all these other customs that we have followed from these vain religions and so forth, right?
Right.
But it's not.
Right. That's definitely true. Like all these customs, they're definitely vain. They don't help us in any way. They don't fix us. Listen, Christmas is not going to help the black community. With all the money we spend during Christmas, we could have already had our own community.
Salaka, sir.
Con.
And since this is gonna be my third Christmas, I don't celebrate it. And
Yeah.
man, I save so much money, man.
Right.
You know, man, save so much money and not like not have to go shopping on that season. For
Right.
any, I
Right.
don't need to take advantage of it. Yeah,
Con, that's heavy. Like that's heavy. Like the people don't understand. Like and now do that with everything else that the oppressor gave us. Right.
right.
And that's what we do. That's what Officer Urad is doing. He's doing that with everything else with that the oppressors gave us. Right. So okay, let's get back to where we were. Right. Read Salakia, Barakiala, read that one more time, because this is like what we're going into right now is definitely heavy, and is definitely shows for why these empires don't exist no more.
It's like it.
Khan.
Where we at? Sir?
We're Salakia. We're in Wisdom of Solomon in the Apocrypha, Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 13, verse 1.
God, so
It's the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 13, verse 1. Surely vain are all men by nature who are ignorant of God, and cannot out of the good things that are seen know him that is, neither by considering the works did they acknowledge the workmaster.
listen, Edomite, you have Elamites, right? The Elamites, they see the cow and they say, listen, you cannot eat that cow, right? They say they don't understand that this leather is soft and it goes good on my garments. I need that cow to be on my plate so I can make me a garment out of that leather. Salakia, right? But they don't understand that. They see the cow, they like, okay, the cow is here, and they worship the cow, right? And Salakia are what am I thinking about? Like even with the children of Gad, right? Now the children of Gad, they see things in nature and they want to turn it into an idol. And this is part of the things that would listen. The children of Gad were supposed to come over here and with the rest of the northern kingdom, and they had a land that they were supposed to keep the law in, right? They didn't keep the law. Just like Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, we didn't keep the law, so we went into captivity, right? Da, da, da. Let's get verse 2.
Khan, Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 13, verse 2. But deemed either fire or wind, or the
Right,
spirit
hold that right
of
there. They deemed either fire or wind, right? They're looking at the elements. They're seeing now. Imagine what it was like for the first time a man made fire. Right? There were people who thought that fire was a god. Right? They seen things like fire. They listen. There was a time when people believed that a hurricane or a tornado was a god, was a evil spirit.
So that's true. Salak, if I could.
Come,
Yeah, man. So yeah, it's so heavy what you're saying. It's so real because people actually think even now, ignorant people still think people that don't know no better that they're not in this truth, that don't read the scriptures, that are not in the ISUPK. They think that that's like that's like wow, you know what I'm saying? They fear
right,
that as opposed to respecting the one they actually created these things, man. The reason why you're seeing the wind, the fire, and all that, and all the other elements around us is because you we ain't good enough, man, to even you know what I'm saying. We're not even good enough to even fathom to actually to see the Most High. Just out of respect, just you know what I mean. We're supposed to do what this book says, and if we're not, then you know that's why the knowledge of the ISUPK is very important, man, for us to come in
right,
and serve our Lord the right way. So that,
right, right. That's definitely heavy, right? Barack, keep reading.
or the swift air, or the
Right,
circle of the stars.
that's the twister. That's swift air. That's the twister. The circle of the stars. Listen, the circle of the stars is making money right now. Like there are whole books in the grocery store right when you're checking out that are dedicated to horoscopes. Right. Someone's gonna read a horoscope and it's gonna affect the whole way they the whole way they go about their day. Right? People take these things and they make religions out of it, and these things become their gods. Right? Keep reading.
Or the violent water, or the lights of the heaven to be the gods which govern the world.
Right. Salakia. Right. So now you see that people are still worshiping the stars because you have okay, something that the conscience community says, right? That blackity black is the mother earth. right? They always say Mother Earth, right? They'll hit you with the Grand Rising, right? They'll say some nutty something nutty like that. Mother Earth, Grand Rising. We come from the stars. With the sun. We're people of the sun. The sun rays is good for our melanin. No, that's UV rays. Is listen. If it wasn't for the ozone layer, we'd be. Have you ever microwaved a hot dog? Right.
Sir.
Slovakia. Right now, all these things that they speak of is all made up. It's made up religions. It's made up superstitions. It's just something during civilization. The division of labors happened, and it was some man's job to think of something entertaining. Right, Khan.
And sir, if I could, I am dealing with that right now as we speak. Right now, where I'm sitting right now, I have to like destroy all that ideology right now. Like today, I was on that today, sir. It's like the Northern Kingdom here, sir, in Honduras, they're just full of it. They have so many
Right.
superstitions, sir. Barakiala, I'm telling you, it's insane. They make up these things in their mind, and it's like I'm like, God damn, it's some heavy stuff. But it's once you tear it up, it's gone. They forget. They think, oh shoot, you know what? It's right. You know, once you beat it up with the word, and you're only supposed to fear God and know God only as a God. Because all
Right.
these things, they give power to all these things, and what is doing it to them is actually destroying them.
Right.
It destroys them because they live in fear of, like you said, sir, Officer Sabaya. They have all these superstitions. They invent all these things like, oh, that's bad for you, and they have like a god for every goddamn thing. It's insane.
God, that's listen, like in the
It's
Zebulon,
heavy.
Benjamin, Judah, that's everyone, man.
Yeah, man.
That's all the 12 tribes. Like it's a damn near religion for everything, a fear of everything, a superstition of everything. I remember
Yeah,
we all lived in Toronto. There was a story of a brother in Toronto. They said this brother's unkillable. They said 1,000 men shot at this brother, and he had some wooden ring on, and that's why no one could kill him. Listen, I haven't heard of this brother since, right? But this is a story that he was supposed to be like Toronto's boogeyman, right? And
yeah,
it's crazy. Like there's just a story for everything, and it's just the things people devised up in their minds to worship.
concert without even them knowing that, and then at the end of the phrase, sir, if I could, they'll be like, oh, thank God, or they'll say, oh, thank God because of this. So I'm thinking, who's your God? You know, because
Right,
they mix up the both. Like their superstitions and their what do you call it? Their gods, or all these things that they make up. They're full of idols here, man.
well,
And the wrath of the Most High is here because of
man,
that.
Slovakia, you can't forget, man. Every sister, they're hoping that the God of Sage protects them.
Yeah,
Right.
that,
As soon as you start talking to it's like the Slovakia. Like I had one sister tell me about a rock that you keep this rock is gonna help you get some money.
yeah,
Right. So we're gonna keep going because we're getting kind of late on the time. I know the Akim probably want to go get something to eat, right? But now these idols, people make these idols for these stories and things, right? Now we have our history book. We can go back through our history books and we can see things like how we were great and how we fell, right? Whenever the other nations make a book or literature or a writing, it's always only for them to show you how great they were, right? So we can go through the heathens literature and find out how great they were, and then we go through our history books and we find out how evil they were, right? Like, okay, so nowhere really on the walls in so-called Kemet, so-called Egypt, are you gonna find how terrible they were to the Egyptians, Salakia, how terrible the Egyptians were to the Israelites. Right. We go through Genesis and we go through Exodus. We find out Salakia. I believe it's Exodus or Genesis. We find out that they were trying to force abortions on us. They wanted to kill every firstborn. Right. To the point where Moses had to give up her firstborn and put him in a basket to send him down a river.
Slakia, Officer Sabadia, I think Barakiala wants to come in on something.
Oh, Khan. Salakia, I didn't hear you. Salakia, you got something?
Khan, that's in Exodus, the first chapter, and verse 16.
Khan, you could pull that for a second.
Khan, Exodus chapter 1, verse 16. And he said, when you do the office of a midwife to the Hebrew women, and see them upon the stools, if it be a son, that ye shall kill him. But if it be a
They shall
daughter,
love him, right? They just told you they shall kill him. You could keep reading.
but if it be a daughter, then she shall live.
Right? They wanted to kill all the firstborns. You're not gonna see that. You're not gonna see that on the walls of Kemet, right? You're not gonna see that they wanted to kill our sons. Right. But we find in our scriptures how terrible the nations were to us. The other nations, they write in their literature how amazing they were. That's why they write it. They write it so years later you could listen. They talk about a man named Alexander the Great. They say he was great, right? This man is known for going into places and murdering people. And because of that, they say he's great. Right? When we read our scriptures, we find out that these people were terrible people. What was that last scripture we were reading? We were reading verse 2.
What kind of wisdom of Solomon?
Sir, it's a lot there.
Khan.
I think we left off on verse. We finished verse 2, and Barakiala was on to verse 3. I believe.
Khan, Barakiala, you can read verse 3.
With whose beauty, if they being delighted, took them to be gods.
Read that one
Let
more
them know
time.
how much, with whose beauty, if they being delighted, took them to be gods.
Right. So in the beauty of the things that the Most High made, they took those things to be gods. Right. Instead of saying that a power made these and that's God, like the power that made these is the Most High, the who created. They seen the fire and the fire is God. They seen the eagle flying, the eagle's God. Keep reading.
Let them know how much better the Lord of them is. For the first author of beauty had created them.
Right. So that's why again I prefaced what we were before we read this precept about how okay, so I'll give you the breakdown of this scripture, right? As I prefaced my statement earlier, we make our scriptures, it shows us when you go into our scriptures, it shows us how terrible we were as a people. Right. We're not in this captivity because we were good children. Right. We're not paying $10,000 in rent a month to some oppressor because we obeyed the Most High. Right. So our scriptures, it shows us how terrible we were. It shows us how good we can be as well. Right. The heathens, they make their stories just to always show you how good they were. Right. For example, if you what does America say about itself?
So, like, what was that?
What anybody can answer. What does America say about itself?
It is a proud country.
Salakia, what was that?
They say they're a proud country, the land of the free.
Khan, that's definitely right. That's definitely right. Officer Rod, what do you got?
Yeah, it's like, sir, they say that they are they're the most powerful. They're the strongest. They're God themselves.
Right. They definitely say that. Another thing they say that it's the best place to live on earth. Right. Now that's what America says about itself. What's the history of America? Right. Would the Native Americans who were on the Trail of Tears, did they think that the Americans were the best people on earth that time in America when they were walking 120 miles, right? Or Salakia, I think it was more than 120 miles actually. They were walking across states, right? When they were doing that, did they think it was the best place in America, the best time to be in America, right? America writes stories about how great it is, right? America's a whore, the great whore of Babylon, right? The great whore America, right? America writes stories about how okay, this is I've seen this in a meme, right? And it's sometimes you see things on the internet that ring true, right? Sometimes you might come across an oppressor that might tell a truth for 10 seconds of the day, right? If America was to view the actions of America would invade America on some we gotta go bring democracy over there, right? So read this script, read that verse one more time.
Canada. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 13, verse 3. With who, if they being enlightened, them to be God, let them know how much better the Lord them is. For the first author of beauty created them.
It's better to know that the Lord created things, right? You can't do anything without the Lord. All of these civilizations, they didn't have the Lord. They're not here, right? They're definitely not here anymore. They're dust balls. Listen, Egypt. You can't see any greatness in Egypt, right? All the greatness of Egypt was devoured by Europeans. They were eating the mummies, right? All the greatness of Egypt is in some British museum somewhere, right? Think about Black Wall Street. Black Wall Street doesn't exist, right? All the prosperous black towns that were in the Americas, right? Think about all the southern kingdom empires on this side of the world that were supposed to be strong empires. When the Lord's not with you, nothing you have is going to succeed. Everything you have is going to fail when the Lord's not with you. Right. So with that said, we're gonna bring it close to this history class. Right. The water for Officer Rod coming in all the way from Honduras. Right. Slaying demons out there, waking up brothers and sisters. He's building a school. Right. The water for Trooper Baraki Allah being on the inside with us today. Right. These brothers, they could have been anywhere else. They chose to be here with me. Right. This was excellent brotherhood. Right. We're gonna bring it close to this class. Slovakia.
Most in Christ, sir.
Come on, we'll see you soon. We coming down there. We on our way.
God, sir. Most in Christ. I can't wait. I can't wait for that time. That day.
Right. Slovakia. I.S.U.P.K security announcements. We are the I.S.U.P.K, started out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rules for new brothers and sisters. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6 month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. Numbers 18:21, Malachi 3, verses 8 to 10. Ma'ashra, which means tenth in Hebrew, 10% of every increase of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you, give to the treasury department or teacher priest fund. Free will offering for priests, not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like. Up and coming holy convocations is Hanukkah, which is Salakia. Let me get it right now. It's the 25th day of the 9th month by the space of 8 days, Sunday, November 28th, 2021, for 8 days. You can find this Memorial Day in the first Maccabees in the Apocrypha, which is chapter 4, verse 52 to 61. Reminder to Akim and Aquathium, check isupk.com and blackwatch.news for any up and coming events. Anybody wants to be a trooper in the school, start wearing all black, boots, shirts, pants, headband, and scarf. With that said, we're going to give a courtesy salute to the brothers and the Aquathian. Men of Israelite Majim. Men of Israelite Majim Shabbat. Imajim. Barak. Yahweh Shem Yashai Barakatah. Yajim, which means hands down. Men of Israel, we're going to give a courtesy salute to the sisters. Men of Israel, Imajim Shabbat. Imajim. Barak. Yahweh Shemar Alathan Ba'Shem Yahshai. With that said, class dismissed. Hold up.